Respect the movie itself to restore the real plot. Hello everyone and welcome to The Old Pipe. To watch the movie today will be about suspense sci-fi fading away. The strong man in protective clothing asked him why he could survive for 4 months until 2 weeks of food. The heroine said that she remembered eating and thought it was only a few days or so. A few weeks and then the heroine began to tell the story of his adventures. The heroine's husband is a soldier, and he has not been heard from since he participated in a secret mission a year ago. A mistress whose government has died, you are in so much pain. At one point, the government suddenly appeared at the door, which made the hostess ecstatic. The hostess asked her husband, where did she go? How did she come back? What did she do? What did she do? The government applied for a trance. She said nothing. She didn't know anything. When the husband was drinking water, the hostess saw the hard work in the water glass and immediately called an ambulance. The government kept convulsing, and the condition was very serious. But at this time, many police cars came to stop the ambulance and took the hostess and her husband away. The heroine, who has retreated from anesthesia, finds herself in an unfamiliar room. He learns from a psychologist. The government is now suffering from multiple organ failure, and the priority is the heroine who went outside and understood the shocking scene. Kin Feng was distorted by various brilliant colors, as if it was a scene in Munchie's Cry. It turned out that 3 years ago, a strange thing fell into the difficult hall and then Nanjing was surrounded by mysterious flashes. The United States has specially set up the Aches Bureau to investigate the drone animals and the expedition team of Chrissy's debut in Nanjing. If you have all of them, you will have no regrets. Except for the heroine's husband, who was the only survivor, but it was more than death. When I was docile, the heroine found that the understanding room had formed a squad of the women's army to enter Nanjing. The team members are the nurse, the fat girl, the geomorphologist, the long-haired girl, the physicist, and the iBeauty universe. Hope to join them. Considering that the heroine has many years of military experience and is a biologist, she quickly agreed. After everything was prepared, they started to enter Nanjing. The goal was the lighthouse, but strange things happened. When they were awake, they all forgot all the things they had entered into Nanjing. After counting the food, they found that at least 3 or 4 days had passed. Before they got to the swamp, they saw a very beautiful flower girl with gifts. But the strange thing is that the same plant blooms with different varieties of flowers. The heroine injured the goer who attacked the crowd and found that the crocodile had whale teeth in it. The gene pool of species here is already in chaos. The closer to the lighthouse, the more obvious it becomes. Many species have corrupted and copied some things. Very ugly, but some are very beautiful like transparent rain underwater. Then they came to the former headquarters in Nanjing, where there are many sick creatures and many malignant copies like tumors. They found that the last expedition had also stayed here and found Lai Ding's memory card. The video content is very scary. The belly of a comrade in arms really has a belly, and it is not all living creatures wriggling like snakes. Understanding took them to the point of the video to find the horrific scene of the soldier's body trying to say that his stomach was brewed with fungus. That night, a bear suddenly broke in and the long-haired girl was taken away. After this attack, the fat girl and the glasses girl wanted to return here. It was too scary, but I didn't understand the reason for the change in Nanjing. I didn't want to give up halfway. The heroine thinks that the coastline is the best way to retreat, and she decides to move forward after paying close attention to the target lighthouse. Passing through the dense jungle, the heroine saw a path with branches and plum blossoms at both ends. The movements and expressions were exactly the same. It was already evening when they were near the seaside. They decided to take up residence first. There are many weird humanoid plants. The researchers said, well, it's fortunate that they are raised in the Wanbo Art Club. Plants are also refracted, so they produce human homology. Sleeping team members to the chair because the heroine concealed that her husband was the soldier who escaped from Nanjing. At this time, the palms and fingerprints of picking up girls were wriggling, and she was very afraid that her stomach would be cut open by her teammates like the video. At this time, I was wearing Punishment May's voice calling for help, and I ran out quickly, but was slapped down by the bear's fierce mouth and made a frequent fart. Just when the fear spit in the glasses girl, the fat girl stood up. He carried the gun to the plot. But it's a pity that the plot first fell on him and killed it. This is the giant who was tied to someone and finally broke free and turned on. This is easy to understand. He left overnight, and he was afraid that he would mutate and enter the East Tower as soon as possible. The research is thought to be crazy here. The multiplicative inverse part of the inverse is actually absorbed by the animal that killed her. And I felt that this line began to grow on my arm, and that I studied more and more of this line on my sister's body, which means that when the Lord was looking for it, he only saw a human-shaped plant. The re-strengthened heroine continues to move towards the seashore. The assistant is very beautiful. There are a lot of huge crystals beside the lighthouse saying that the tree that the water molecules replicated forms the heroine firmly pushing open the door of the lighthouse without the skeletons lined up in front of the lighthouse. The lighthouse is covered with fungus. There is a cave around the charred corpse. Opposite the corpse is this. The hostess turned on the camera. He saw her husband appear on the camera. Immediately crashed with flow. The government asked another person to go to the hostess and pulled off the tie. And now, when I walk into the camera, my husband looks exactly the same. At this time, the heroine heard the voice of understanding coming from the cave. In the underground cave, the mouth of understanding spewed out golden liu bang, and even the body became golden streamers. These streamers gathered together to form a strange energy instead. The hostess looked at the energy suddenly and wrote energy weight on his face. Then the mainland writes as quickly as cells separate. 1 out 2 becomes 4 finally thanks an energy, makes up a weird metal man. The metal man kept running towards Ko Dongguan, which the heroine was afraid of. The metal man, who was originally in the depths of the cave, was nowhere to be found, is already on the ground. This metal man has been writing that the heroine's action is not to let the heroine leave, etc. At this time, the heroine's art is in the case of shoe people. He picks up a leader and stuffs it into the metal man's hands. The metal that the heroine touches allows the metal man to suddenly become like him. Then the heroine pulled Lin Dan away without the slightest hesitation and ran out of the hall. The weirdo people ran back to the cave, and finally the cave and the lighthouse were on fire. The beautiful crystal also burned up and finally collapsed into a situation. The above is the heroine's self-report. The brawny man is not satisfied. He suspects that the heroine has concealed something, but the flash has been an hour and the energy suggests that the aliens should be gone. After the shrine grooming, the husband started to recover and came back to life quickly. To see. Car. Slightly. In the end, the two hugged tightly, and their eyes kept changing. The video ends here. Because it is a sci-fi blockbuster that was released in the United States in February, it was adapted from The Lost Nanjing. The first film worth mentioning is that The Lost Nanjing defeated the three-body problem and won the Nebula Award in 2014. Co-writer Liu Cixin also appreciates this science fiction novel. The film restores the setting notice of the original novel and shows a lot of brilliant colors and beautiful pictures. The best visual effects of the Traffic Police Oscars will definitely be on the back of the bag. Coupled with the brain-opening plot of Dinku Province, it is a rare and wonderful film. Alright, this is the end of this issue. Friends who like to watch The Appointment can scan the QR code on the screen or search on WeChat. Follow the public account, Sound and Vibrate to watch movies. More competing products that you can't watch are waiting for you here.